Born on December 4, 1969, Jay-Z was first known as Shawn Corey Carter, who grew up in Brooklyn, New York, as the last of his three siblings. Yet unlike them, he gave his mother, Gloria Carter, the least amount of headache, or so she claimed. Regardless, she often expressed her pride in birthing a child like him. His father, Andy Reeves, on the other hand, not so much. He probably could care less, for he abandoned the family by the time Jay-Z was 11. His mother raised him and his siblings to be anything but soft, and the soft and meek had no place in the streets of Marcy Projects. To walk these streets, one had to be rough and mean. The present city of Brooklyn was a shell of its industrial glory in the 50s and 60s. Ever since, the city reduced expenditure on basic services from the 70s onwards. Brooklyn became nothing but a fertile ground for drugs and gangs. To put it succinctly, the place had become a literal hell for most, and the young Jay-Z found himself peddling cocaine. He would have also found himself pulling the trigger of a gun or being on the end of one, well, 3 times, if it wasn't for rap music. He stumbled on this kind of music when he observed the kids in the neighborhood block. Though it sounded more like a speed fest, the very act of putting one's emotion through rhymes and lyrics felt uplifting to Jay-Z. It allowed him to escape the daily toxic grind of life. The heated competition of rap battles only forced him to get better. He kept his mother and siblings awake at night drumming beats on the table to encourage him in a way that wouldn't result in more sleepless nights. His mother bought him a boombox and a binder note, the latter which he would guard against everyone, even his family, with his very own life. He even hid it beneath his pillow whenever he slept. While listening to beats and writing lyrics in his binder notes, he also browsed a dictionary for rhymes while improving his vocabulary. In time, Jay-Z's lyrical prowess became known in his neighborhood, and the kids nicknamed him Jay-Z. Jay-Z attended the George Westinghouse Career and Technical Education High School. He found his time in school enjoyable when he made friends with those who shared his passion for rap, the likes of Christopher George Latoro Wallace, who would become the rapper Notorious B.I.G. in the future, and Trevor George Smith Jr., who would become Busta Rhymes. Jay-Z's passion for rap pushed him to seek out an older figure who had inside knowledge and a solid base in the music industry. In 1989, he met such a figure in the form of Jonathan Burke, a rapper and record producer whose stage name was Jaz-O. It was from him that Jay-Z would derive his stage name. Jaz-O and Jay-Z would shut themselves off from the drug-infested streets of Brooklyn to craft lyrics for their songs. And for a time, this worked well, and filled Jay-Z with the expectation that when he was ready, he would sign for a record label. He celebrated with Jaz-O after the older man got signed up a record label within the same year of 1989. But that joy was short-lived after Jay-Z discovered that when Jaz-O's single failed to fulfill expectations, the record company dropped him faster than a hot potato in a child's hand. Of course, Jaz-O rolled with the punches and concluded such was the way of the music industry. But Jay-Z begged to differ. To him, he deemed the entire affair disgusting and a slight to his mentor's hard work. If that was how record labels worked those days, which some of them did, then he wanted nothing to do with them. Right there and then, Jay-Z vowed to himself that he would never sign to a record label, and he would not only build a record label of his own, but he would also succeed doing so. In 1995, Jay-Z teamed up with Dame Anthony Dash, also known as Damon Dash, and Kareem Biggs Burke to found the record label Roc-A-Fella Records. At some point of appreciation towards his mentor, Jay-Z sought to bring Jaz-O on board to sign with the label, but the man refused. He believed he was too big to receive a generous $300,000 if he signed the contract. This threw Jay-Z for a loop, and he thought he knew his mentor well. He was wrong. And so, this began a feud between him and Jaz-O that would span many years. The following year, Jay-Z released his first album called Reasonable Doubt. Despite featuring the likes of singer Mary J. Blige and rapper Notorious B.I.G., it did not guarantee his album would become a great hit, but it did help bolster his reputation in the rap community. Now, he had gone from nobody to somebody to keep an eye on. Certainly, with Roc-A-Fella being a relatively new record company and Jay-Z as their only artist, there had to be more where that came from. And Jay-Z would deliver precisely that. in 1998 with the release of his third album, Volume 2, Hard Knock Life, which earned him a Grammy Award for Best Rap Album, his first of many Grammys to come. This achievement shot him to stardom and made him the biggest bling on the hip-hop radar. Meanwhile, Jay-Z's Volume 2 Hard Knock Life topped the Billboard 200 and sold more than 350,000 copies within the first week. In 2001, Jay-Z released his album, The Blueprint, which became one of his best pieces yet and kickstarted the careers of record producers Kanye West and Justin Just Blaze Smith. It sold more than 400,000 copies in its opening week. The following year, Jay-Z released a sequel to the Blueprint album. He called it The Blueprint 2, The Gift and the Curse. His most notable track, Bonnie and Clyde, featured his then-girlfriend and former Destiny Child member, Beyonce Knowles. While not as critically acclaimed as The Blueprint, it was anything but a failure. In 2003, Jay-Z announced his retirement from recording rap music with the release of the Black Album. Turns out he had become bored with the current music scene, for there was nobody to challenge him to his throne. While some might deem his explanation arrogant, it showed an underlying layer of how and why every Jay-Z track or album was always a hit, to a greater or lesser extent. True to his word, Jay-Z did retire that year and became president of Def Jam Recordings, which until that point only owned half of Roc-A-Fella Records before purchasing the rest. Although he resigned 4 years later. In 2006, Jay-Z stepped out of retirement with the release of his album, Kingdom Come. He followed the success of his comeback album with American Gangster and The Blueprint 3 in the next 2 years. In the meantime, in 2008, Jay-Z signed a $150 million contract with a concert promoting company named Live Nation. From henceforth, this venture would become what most would know as Roc Nation. That same year, Jay-Z finally married his longtime girlfriend Beyonce Knowles. They would later have 3 children, a girl named Blue Ivy and twins, a boy and a girl, named Sir and Rumi. In 2013, Jay-Z shared a Grammy for Best Rap or Song collaboration with Justin Timberlake for the hit track Holy Grail, which was part of Jay-Z's Magna Carta Holy Grail. Jay-Z's success enabled him to reach a monumental milestone in 2007 when he was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. 2 years later, in 2019, he became recognized as the first rap artist billionaire. Thank you very much for watching our videos. We'd like to give you another interesting video for you to enjoy next. But before then, our team will be very happy if you can like this video and share it with your friends on social media. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so that you won't miss other interesting videos like this. Look at your screen now to see 2 other videos we handpicked for you to enjoy next. We love you.